You're listening to an audio article by the Common Constitutionalist. Today's article is entitled, Squishy Republicans Are Calling It Quits. In early September, Charlie Dent, Republican congressman from Pennsylvania and co-chair of the moderate Tuesday group, suddenly announced he was retiring from the House after 7 terms in office. So what? What's the big deal? Well, it's apparently a big deal to many, particularly, it seems, to publications on the left like The Atlantic. Yesterday, The Atlantic wrote a piece entitled, Who Will Lead the Republican Moderates? Lamenting the exit next year of Representative Dent. You see, Dent is the current leader of the moderate wing of the Republican Party in Congress. So, of course, it's a big deal to the left, for as we know, moderate Republicans are the only reasonable people in the GOP. And he's not the only squish hightailing it out of town. Representatives Dave Trott of Michigan, Ilena Ross-Lehtinen of Florida, Dave Reichart of Washington, John J. Duncan Jr. of Tennessee, Lynn Jenkins of Kansas, and Sam Johnson of Texas are all packing it in. Now, if you're a Republican, you may think this is terrible news that so many Republicans are leaving, until you dig just a bit deeper. And these days it doesn't take much digging. Conservative Review's Liberty Score is a one-stop shop for a quick accounting of the above 7. For those unaware, an elected official's Liberty Score is like a personal credit score. A credit score doesn't give a detailed accounting of an individual's credit health, but it is certainly enough to determine initial worthiness, and often, depending on the score, a creditor needs to look no further. If, for example, a creditor sees an applicant with a credit score of, say, under 500, likely the creditor will reject the applicant's request outright. A score that low pretty much tells them as much as they need to know. The same can be said of the trusted conservative Liberty Score. The scoring ranges from A to F, with A being the most conservative and F being the least. Of the list of retiring Republicans, only 2, Sam Johnson of Texas and John J. Duncan Jr. of Tennessee, had a score better than a big fat F. In other words, it's the squishes who are heading for the hills. As a conservative, I'm very broken up about this. If I may rephrase, here's your hat, what's your hurry? But the leftist Atlantic is concerned. Quote, These are ulcer-inducing times for moderate Republicans in Congress, unquote, they write. Quote, With frenzied nationalism, populism, and Trump sanity dominating the politiscape, displaying centrist tendencies in today's GOP is like wearing a Taylor Swift t-shirt to Kim and Kanye's house for dinner. You should expect things to get nasty, unquote. I'm happy to admit I pretty much don't get that reference, but evidently it's bad. Of course, the same can be said of the Dems. Being a Democrat who displays anything other than radical leftist tendencies would and is ostracized. Quote, For years, Pennsylvania's Dent has served as the lonely voice of the center-right, what he calls the governing branch of his conference, unquote. Yes, because it's obvious that the Congressional Freedom Caucus has neither the ability nor inclination to govern. If I may attempt a translation, what the Atlantic is trying to convey is that the sensible progressive centrists in the GOP are the only ones fit to govern, because they are so adept at crossing the aisle, willing to work with socialists and communists in the Democrat Party to build bipartisan consensus to get things done. Did I get all the feel-good buzzwords in there? As the Atlantic continued to bemoan the loss of such a great moderate, Dent was quick to reassure the publication that there are still plenty to choose from to take his place as leader of the squishes. He was quick to suggest Elise Stefanik, Ryan Costello, Leonard Lance, Carlos Cubello, John Katko, Brian Fitzgerald, and Patrick Meehan. All but one of these has a Liberty Score of F. Fitzpatrick has a D. In other words, the spineless big government moderates will still be in great hands. And won't that be great for everyone? Thank you for listening.